Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Friday's edition of the DC Multiverse Daily. And regrettably, the Batman has yet again ceased production and filming because Robert Pattinson has now got COVID-19. Oh my God, Robert Pattinson's got COVID-19. What are we going to do? Another shutdown that only went a week ago? Oh my God, maybe they should have gone back. Oh, they should replace Robert Pattinson, right? Clever clogs, when they replace him and the other guy and the next guy get COVID-19, what are you going to say then? Movie Twitter is full of absolute numpties. Numpties. And if you Americans don't know what a numpty means, fool, idiot, twat, whatever you want to say. Right, we all need to calm down here. So I know how these things work. So let me tell you what's going to happen here. Robert Pattinson and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will self-isolate for 2 weeks. Then Rob will return to the filming of the Batman. Meanwhile, what's going to be happening right now is that Warner Media will be testing every single person that's part of the Batman production. I would say about 10% of those people will have COVID. They as well will have to self-isolate. Meanwhile, they will shoot around Robert Pattinson. So I would say maybe sometime next week, maybe as close as Monday or Tuesday, filming will restart and they'll shoot around Robert Pattinson. There's no panic. They will get back to work as quick as possible. But as everybody is saying, this is the new normal. And if you're laughing at this, if you hate DC or you want this film to do badly, every production is going to go through this, whether it's a TV production, whether it's a movie production, whether you're slowly going back to performing theatres, which I have done myself. At the end of the day, this is what's going to happen. You get the virus, you self-isolate, and everything's all right. In other words, take 2 paracetamol and see me in 2 weeks. Basically, this isn't the plague. This isn't the Black Death. Admittedly, early on, this was killing a lot of weak people with underlying illnesses and obviously the elderly. Now they have a system in place to reduce the deaths. So basically, it is not the big scary thing you think it is. The death rate is really low now. We will get through this. But at the end of the day, we can't sit at home being scared. I'm not going to cinemas. No way. I'm not going to watch No Time to Die. I've got no time to die. Movie Twitter, as I say, is full of idiots. Thankfully, Warner Media is run by very, very level-headed people. And here's Ann Sarnoff talking to The Hollywood Reporter. Warner Brothers CEO talks Batman filming halt, Tenet release amid COVID-19. I can say COVID-19 because I'm not monetized, so I don't have to worry about getting any strikes. As the Christopher Nolan film hits theatres in the US and Batman Robert Pattinson tests positive for coronavirus, Ann Sarnoff says, I think we never expected things to go completely smoothly, which is obvious. Again, very level-headed and intelligent. As Warner Media Studios and Networks Group head, Ann Sarnoff makes a year at the company where she was recently elevated to a top position overseeing all content. She agreed to a series of interviews on Thursday tied to the release of Christopher Nolan's much-discussed and often postponed Tenet. Hours before she was set to begin speaking with the press, the coronavirus pandemic intervened once again with news that filming on Matt Reeves' The Batman in London has shut down again after star Robert Pattinson reportedly tested positive for COVID-19. The studio had hoped to keep the focus on Tenet, which opens today where it can in the US after launching internationally last weekend to a better-than-expected 53 million plus from 41 markets. Los Angeles and New York City theatres remain off-limits for now. It also raised the awkward question of whether patrons should risk going to a movie theatre at a time when a production that was in theory carefully controlled faced shutdown. Cinemas have been open in a number of countries that have done better at coping with the pandemic than the US. That's basically any country without any known outbreaks thus far. Right. Now, this journalist, whoever this journalist is, tries to say, if you can't control it in a studio, how can anyone else control it? They're controlling it. Literally one person has got it. Regrettably, it's the star of the film, but things will carry on next week, I assure you. Sarnoff has a very full plate, a disappointing... Oh my God! These bastards! They won't stop with their false narratives, right? Sarnoff has a very full plate, a disappointing launch of HBO Max. No, it is not a disappointing launch. It's neither record-breaking or disappointing. It's solid. And you just wait till Zack Snyder's Justice League is released. That's what they're waiting for. That's their big event, right? So shut up with your false narrative. Shifting business models, massive reorganisations and overall disruption and displacement caused by COVID-19. Do you know what's really funny? Where's the Bob Iger interview? Where is it? Explaining the shutdowns of the parks, how badly they've done, how very little we've heard from Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios, the mess that is Star Wars. No, they always are trying to be negative about Warner Brothers, always have and always will, because these people are literally so biased. Anyway, and Tenet is an enormous gamble for her. A gamble! A gamble! What? Oh my God. Oh dear. And her team, the 200 million espionage epic, is braving a traditional theatrical release in the first major test of whether a Hollywood tentpole can prevail amid the ongoing pandemic. The answer is yes, it already is. You already told us it's grossed 53 million internationally. That's great news. You just said that's better than estimated, right? Can prevail amid the ongoing pandemic. Nolan is a fierce advocate of the cinematic experience and has insisted on a big screen debut. At the same time, Disney is experimenting with Mulan, the other big ticket movie out this week, offering it for $29.99 to subscribers on its streaming service in the US. In other select markets, the film will be made available theatrically in China, South Korea, Russia, and other smaller markets. Sarnoff's hire and recent promotion, she now oversees all content operations, have been viewed skeptically by some in Hollywood. What? What? By who? People who can't handle the fact that Warner Media is doing things the right way and is making decisions that's going to make them very successful for years to come, like the DC multiverse strategy. Anyway, by some in Hollywood. In August 2019, she arrived at Warner Brothers as CEO with oversight of the film and television studios, despite being mostly unknown to Hollywood insiders. You heard of BritBox? She pioneered BritBox, right? We all know who she is, you fools. She arrived at Warner Bros. as CEO with oversight of the film and television studios, despite being mostly unknown to Hollywood insiders. Before serving as president of BBC Studios America, exactly. Sarnoff was president of Dow Jones Ventures, CEO of WNBA, and executive VP Consumer Products and Business Development at Nickelodeon. That's not a bad CV, is it, you idiot? Sarnoff is the first woman to run Warner Brothers, the only high-profile woman in Warner Media's upper echelon. You see, they can't handle it that they're the only one that have got a woman there, so they have to find something else to bash Warner Brothers up with. In August, her power base increased immeasurably when newly installed Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar ousted Bob Greenblatt and Kevin Riley and expanded Sarnoff's purview. In other words, he got rid of the old regime of Warner Brothers, and it's beautiful. Lots of time for Jason Kilar. He's really doing things the right way. For all content, including the company's nascent streaming service HBO Max, HBO veteran Casey Bloys, a new Sarnoff report, is now overseeing a content team that encompasses the premium cable network, HBO Max, and a trio of basic cable channels. Warner Brothers Motion Pictures Group Chief Toby Emmerich also continues to report to Sarnoff. I tell you what, Toby, how you still got your job, I don't know. You must have some dirt on some people, but they're getting rid of a lot of people. I wonder how long you're going to last. If you behave yourself, you might get away with it. In a wide-ranging Q&A with the Hollywood Report, Sarnoff was candid about the challenges of resuming production in the COVID era. I don't see things materially changing until there is a medical solution. Exactly. It's obvious, isn't it? Why Tenet needs to be seen on the big screen and how Emmerich will have expanded purview on which of his movies go straight to HBO Max. That's interesting. Production on the Batman has been halted after a cast member tested positive for COVID-19. It's been confirmed the person is lead actor Robert Pattinson. I won't comment on specifics. We have to protect people's privacy. Does what happened to Batman change your thinking about resuming production? I think we never expected things to go completely smooth. In fact, as we've been getting our protocols ready, we built in contingencies. If someone tests positive, you do contract tracing. You pause, you evaluate and come back when you can. Exactly. It's not rocket science. And as I said, that'll be next week. I think it would have been naive to think we would have certain cases on certain productions. The most important thing is to be ready for when that happens. And we were very much ready. Well done, Anne. This is what these people need. So all you making YouTube videos trying to be negative about the Batman halting production, she's already sitting you down. She's taking away your views, and I fucking love it. Do you have any sense at all of when production might return to normal on an overall basis? I don't see things materially changing until there is a medical solution, unless we were to read herd immunity somehow. Instead, we are just proceeding as if there won't be and resuming production as safely as we can. In other words, media and paranoia people, films will be shot, films will be written in a safe as possible way, because this isn't a Black Death. Remember that. Regarding Tenet's release in theatres, there's a perception that Christopher Nolan controls things. Is that fair or overstated? It's overstated. Let me share with you the process that we went through right when COVID struck. We started looking at alternative ways to think about movie releases. On the Scoob front, we decided to release it on PVOD. Families were sequestered together and wanted more content. We are very happy with the results. A few weeks later, it debuted on HBO Max, where we were very happy with the results as well. On the Tenet front, we also had a finished movie, which we were very proud of for people to see. As the summer unfolded, we started thinking about more innovative ways of releasing the movie. What if we didn't put everything up front toward the opening weekend? Theatres were very upfront about saying they could give us 3 to 4 times as many screens as normal. So they started to change our thinking. We are happy with where we are. Some markets still aren't open, but it is a marathon and not a sprint. Again, well done, Anne. These people in the newly formed Warner Media at AT&T speak so well common sense, and they put out the flames of the shit stirring immediately. Theatres have instituted a host of safety protocols, but are you concerned about the risks of asking people to gather in an enclosed space? No, because they're wearing masks and everything's been clean and clean. It's one of the most safest environments. This is why planes are so safe and people don't get it, because everything is cleaned and clean. Everyone's wearing masks. It's fine. The paranoia has to stop. Of course, we have done quite a bit of research throughout the last few months about people's concerns and preferences. We started to monitor behaviours of people going back to outdoor restaurants and indoor theatres. It gave us a lot of data about specific markets and the behaviour that people are likely to exhibit when theatres reopen. Our approach is to never make anyone go to a theatre if they aren't comfortable, but it isn't one size fits all. Some people are more comfortable than others. Exactly. The sensible, intelligent ones that are not paranoid. They're the ones Anne's talking about. Would you ever consider doing a hybrid PVOD theatrical release for a big tentpole, much as Disney is doing with Mulan? I don't completely understand Disney's strategy, but they are releasing Mulan internationally in some theatres. I'm rooting for anybody who's getting a movie out. Fans are anxious for new content. I actually went to see Tenet last night in Connecticut. I'm in Bedford, New York, and drove 10 minutes to the theatre with friends, and it was amazing. It was safe. There were no crowds. I even found a way to eat popcorn with a mask on. Of course, my mask smells like popcorn now. Did you ever consider putting Tenet on PVOD, considering the ongoing... No. It's a remarkable, cinematic, beautiful film. It is so impactful. It is a movie meant for the big screen. I'm very proud of our approach. A lot of people are pushing stuff into next year. Tenet absolutely deserves to be seen in theatres. In other words, other people are delaying things to next year, but we're putting out Tenet this year. We're putting Wonder Woman 84 out this year, and it is going to be put out in October. In its day, it will be delivered internationally first and in theatres that are open in America. Brilliant, Anne. What is the thinking on Wonder Woman 84, which is due out in mid-October? Will you move it to to the June slot in December. We are still figuring out the strategy for all our moves. We have quite a lot done, obviously. Wonder Woman 84 is up next for now. It is where it is. Like I said earlier, certain movies deserve to be on the big screen. My belief is Wonder Woman is one of those. And so that's interesting, a non-committal answer. So she says, for now, it's being released then. We are now in, what are we, the 4th of September now? It would be, I think if they are going to delay it, it's going to happen now. But of course, the journalists jumping on putting it in the June spot because they want drama. They want something to write. HBO Max launch has been considered less optimal, by you, because it's all about record breaking and Disney Plus to you. Now that there's been a big reorganisation, are you talking about simplifying things and changing the name? Would you consider a new pricing or anything that might change the HBO Max approach? Oh dear. These are early days for me. Casey and I are partners in diving in, since neither one of us was working on it directly before. So we are really studying the consumer feedback, the content performance at Citra. The good news is we are seeing incredible engagement. Stay tuned. So in other words, she wasn't really overseeing this before, which I think was actually a mistake. She should have been overseeing this from the beginning, because at the end of the day, with her expertise and experience with BritBox, and when she was at BBC America, she did a great job with that. So she should have been on this straight away, but she's on it now. But I don't think the launch was bad or anything like that. As I say, it's not been record-breaking numbers, but it's been a solid success. And as they know, they've got Zack Snyder's Justice League. They've got the Green Lantern show. They've got a lot of stuff that they're going to be bringing forward. And as they keep on saying, it's a sprint, not a marathon. But unfortunately, for the journalists and media, it's a marathon. There's a lot of scuttlebutt with all the studio reorgs and Susan Rovner looking at NBC Universal. Can you give us any idea as to when Peter Roth might retire, or what you might do to retain someone so that they don't go to a rival? I'm sorry, I can't comment because it's all speculation at this point. I don't have anything official to say. Well done, Anne. How much creative input do you intend to have in terms of content? My job is to lead the group. I'm not giving notes. I may have an opinion about something. I have incredibly capable people working for me. I'm very happy with them running their businesses. That is one of the reasons John Stankey hired me. I break silos. My job is to pull it all together and make it more valuable for creators. They now have one-stop shopping. We just have so many platforms to work with. With the NBC reorg, it seems like you've come in the door and they decide where the product goes. How will Warner Brothers approach this? Let me give you an example of how this new structure simplifies things. Toby Emmerich will now focus on whether a project is a theatrical release or whether it is better for HBO Max, in which case he'll talk to Casey and Sarah Albury. Now that everything is under one roof, it's much easier and more harmonious. So what they wanted to do is make sure they can keep their eyes on everything. She's running everything now because there's still elements of the old regime at Warner Brothers, and they want to make sure they behave themselves. And if they notice they're not, they'll be out the door like the other boys. Will Toby decide that well into the process? It will be right out the gate, is what the intention is in terms of which distribution route a project will take. It will very rarely be a pivot. Where are the AMPTP and the guilds in terms of return to work talks? We understand there are issues, right? I think we can leave this now. Yeah, I think we can read this. A really, really good interview, and I really enjoyed reading it to you. Now, the reason I read it to you, and I know a lot of it sounded like a lot of boring business talk, so for those of you who stuck with this video, thank you. I appreciate it. Look, it's very important to listen to what Anne and Jason Kilar have to say, because as DC fans, it's very integral and very important. There's nothing better for me than yesterday hearing all the over-exaggerations of the Batman halting its production, than the leader of Warner Media coming out and saying, do you know what? This isn't actually a big deal. Everyone's going to go through this. This is how things are now. We will do what we have to do, halt production and go back when it's safe to do so. And that's it. It's not a big deal. I'm predicting sometime next week. It won't be a problem. As I said, they will shoot around Robert Pattinson. So there's no need to panic and ignore all these scaremongering videos as well. It's just a bunch of idiots who know nothing about the process of making a film. Now, finally today, I want to look back at this year. for DC fans. What a fucking year it's been for us. Now, with COVID-19, it's been an absolutely a horrible year. Locked in, not exactly knowing what this disease is, but what Jason Kilar and Sarnoff have done, Jim Lee and Walter Hamada is brilliant. Putting together DC fandom, the announcement of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut. It's been an absolute incredible year. I think the highlight for me was DC fandom when Jim Lee and Walter Hamada are sitting there, right, discussing the multiverse strategy and telling us they're actually going to do it. Because until you hear these people say it, you think, no way is this going to happen. But you know what? It is going to happen. They are creating this multiverse in live action where everything in these different universes will actually unite. But also it allows people to have different ideas and different ways of doing things. You like light superhero TV shows or movies, you're going to get it. You like the Zack Snyder type, you're going to get it. You like the Matt Reeves type of thing, the James Gunn kind of thing, you're going to get it. We now can get all sorts of tones and all sorts of dynamics within the DC multiverse. That's really, really exciting. And for me, that's the highlight. I'm so looking forward to DC Fandom Part 2. Now, I know it probably won't be as big a spectacle and deal as the first part, but I think there's still things to happen there, and that really does excite me. So if you're a DC fan, personally, especially if you're a Snyder DCEU fan, it's been a remarkable year. For me, AT&T and Warner Media have moved so quickly on this IP. And it's been, I think, forget what the media say, I believe it's been, out of all the studios and companies, I think it's Warner Media who have handled the pandemic the best. When you hear Ann Sarnoff talking so calmly about the Batman halting production, and it's like, you know what? I'm calm. It's fine. This is the way it is. We'll stop till we finish it. We have to delay the release. I think the release will be fine. I mean, you may be talking about a few weeks delay or a month or two, but nothing that's going to affect the consumer. So it's just been a terrific year to be a DC fan, and it just makes me want to go back and watch every single DC thing they've ever made, because that's cool. I mean, a big project that could happen, and I have not heard anything, but I love the DC animated universe, and I think I've mentioned it on here before, to actually combine that with the live action stuff would be a really great part of this multiverse strategy. It's never been done in a superhero movie. Feige would never dare do this. It would be a very ambitious project. And when you've got people, experts in animation, working for Warner Media, it would be brilliant to combine the animated verse and the DC live action universe. How amazing would that be? Anyway, what do you think of the Ann Sarnoff interview? Are you happy to be a DC fan? Are you finally happy to be hearing so much positivity around DC Comics and DC live action? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DC Multiverse Daily. See you again soon.